Hey everyone, welcome back to Care Fiction. I'm your host Subhankar. The time has come to review the greatest and the most influential sci-fi book ever written, Dune by Frank Herbert. Published in 1965, it is the first book in a series of works written by Herbert and later continued by his son Brian Herbert and Kevin Anderson. If I have to sum up the importance of this book in plain and simple terms, then what Lord of the Rings is for fantasy, Dune is for sci-fi. And I know it's not wise to juxtapose these two works, and certainly not the way to put them together in a sentence, but that goes to say what it means for the sci-fi culture. One can extract so many ideas and discussions out of this book that one may get stuck in a never-ending loop. So setting aside those discussions, let us look at a simple book review. Beginning with the plot, the book starts quite calmly on a planet called Caladan. If you didn't know, the majority of the events take place on a planet called Arrakis, also known as the eponymous Dune. This calmness is like the silence before the storm, and is also signified by the contrasting nature of the planets. In the beginning, there is a noticeable contrast among the characters and their motivations. But as you progress through the mechanics of storytelling and the events that occur, you will find that willingly or unwillingly they have changed and their differences start to shrink. There are some plots within plots which may be a little difficult to follow, but if you take notes or somehow keep a grasp on them, they are so delightful if and when they are resolved. About the pace of the story, while I'm satisfied with it most of the time, there are certain sections where it jumps quite ahead, which I found quite unsettling. Now let me tell you about a fascinating, let's call it a plot device, which are bits of notes and excerpts told by Princess Irulan at the start of every chapter. Well, these are mostly a foreshadowing of events, which I think is a great way to keep the reader hooked. Frank Herbert put a lot of emphasis on the characters, and thus the narrative that follows through the characters is such a strong point of the book. With each narrative, it's like peeling off a layer of a story, and not just the character's story, but also of the universe in which the book is set in. Obviously, the main character is Paul Atreides. His arc follows the hero's journey and he goes through a lot of changes during his character development. But despite of this obvious arc, he is still a likable character and one who you will root for. According to me, the next character which gets a lot of focus is Lady Jessica, Paul's mother, and she has a very strong presence in the story. A strong-willed character who is very prudent of her choices and decisions, and at times it felt like she overshadows Paul's character. She is trained in the ways of the Bene Gesserit, and in many ways I believe that Paul is what he is because of Lady Jessica, as she had also trained him. In fact, there are strong female characters which are well written in the story. Another important character is of Duke Leto Atreides, who is written as someone who is accustomed to changes, but at the same time falls blind to the deceptive nature of Arrakis. He can be thought of as a character whose arc has a domino effect on everyone, and I like that. Next up is a big bad villain, and I mean literally big, the Baron Vladimir Harkonnen, who is the arch nemesis of the House Atreides. His malevolent motivations are typical of what you would find in most stories, but his ways are cruel and devious, and I think his arc could have been a little better. At one point, you may feel like it betrays what we have learned about his mannerisms. And there are a lot of other characters in this book, and I am satisfied with most of them, their backgrounds and what they add to the story. But two characters who fell below my expectations are Chani, Paul's romantic interest, and Feyd-Rautha, the Baron's nephew. Chani's character should have been made more influential and vital to the story, and Feyd-Rautha's character could have been explored a little more. This is where Dune is so different from the other books of the sci-fi genre, the suppression of technology. Herbert had a different vision of the future, where technological development is still noticeable but the human evolution is far more superior. It is based on a world where the greatest weapon is not technology but the human mind, a notion rarely visible in most sci-fi books. Actually, there is a whole reason why technological advancements like robots, artificial intelligence, and likewise are absent, and I won't spoil it for you because it's so unique. In the same vein, the thing I most loved is that a technology invented by the Fremen to adapt to the environment completely bemuses others. The world building is absolutely classic. It does not dump a lot of lore or information on you at one time, but it unravels in beats like piecemeal, so you won't be overwhelmed with a lot of sprawling info. But on the other hand, some of the lore does remain untouched, like who is the mysterious Bene Gesserit and what is the voice. The most striking part of the world building is the form of government, which is fiefdom. That's crazy and so cool. And while we are on the subject of world building, I have to mention the two most central elements, politics and culture, specifically the Fremen culture. The book portrays that even though the human mind is evolved, it is still mired in politics and a human history that cannot be shed. And although this kind of political play in a sci-fi novel could have been newfangled in 1965, yet it is still refreshing even after 56 years. Now I cannot say enough how beautifully the Fremen culture is stitched into the story. One could even say that it is written flawlessly. The two chief themes of Dune are ecology and religion. Herbert is so invested in these two themes that he wrote separately and elaborately on them, to be found in the form of appendices at the end of the book. Although there may be some terms related to ecology and geography that you may not comprehend, but that never let me down, because I wanted to know how Arrakis is and how the people adapt to the environment. Another thing I loved is the discussion around the human control over the environment and whether or not to disrupt the ecological balance of Arrakis. The book makes Arrakis so believable, and the fact that the Fremen are vital to understand the planet. I found it hauntingly beautiful, and I'm not going to spoil much about it. Now, religion is something which most sci-fi works completely disregard because of that whole science versus religion argument. But like I said, Dune is different, and religion is inculcated into the core. There is the Bene Gesserit sisterhood, prophecies, messianic figures, and a lot of underlying philosophical beliefs and ideas that stem from them. Now that is an absolute treasure in my opinion. In a nutshell, you should read Dune at some point. I think although it has unimaginable influence on the pop culture, sci-fi genre and the fan culture to say the least, it didn't quite penetrate into the fandom as Lord of the Rings or Star Wars did. I don't know, maybe because of the divisive nature of the book. So thank you for watching this video and see you soon.